Great. So, welcome everyone. Welcome, dear listeners. It's really great connecting with you again. And I have two beautiful and great guests with me, Ramona Gale and Dennis Delbert. So, I'm your host, Avik, and today we'll be discussing about a great topic, which is like after loss, reimagining life after loss, healing, authenticity, and also about mental health awareness. So, we'll quickly start with an intro. I'll just love to mention to all of you that, first of all, welcome to Healthy Waves. It's again a part of Healthy Mind and Healthy Life podcast. This is the live group podcast where we dive into the sea of wellness topics with the top experts around the world. So each episodes we bring you insightful discussions and the practical advice and inspiring stories to help you navigate the life's challenges and embrace a healthier and happier you. That's the main motive. So whether it's the mental health, personal growth, transformative healing, our expert guests share their wisdom to empower you on your journey. So join us, take the ride of the waves of knowledge, support, and the community together. So I'll quickly introduce you to all of you. I'll start with Dennis. So Dennis knows the depth of grief all too well. So like after the sudden passing of her husband, she embarked on a healing journey that led to the creation of the FLOW, grief release method. So with over, I mean, 15 years of experience, she has helped thousands of people transform their lives, moving through grief with grace and rediscovering the joy. That's really great. So her unique approach challenges the traditional methods, offering the hope and the profound transformation. So, welcome to the show, Dennis. And
Thank you so much for inviting me and for giving me the opportunity to share such an important message of rediscovering life after the loss of a loved one.
exactly, lovely. We'll definitely like listen to the and understand the flow method, definitely for sure. But quickly, I'll also introduce you all to Ramona. So Ramona empowers the self starters to reclaim their brilliance and achieve the success. So as a vibrational mentor, spiritual success coach, and the author, she teaches clients to leverage their inner guidance for the success, satisfaction, and the connection. So she's the founder of Heartset Academy and the Alignment Circle Mastermind. So her passion is to helping people break free from the limiting beliefs and pursue their dreams. So that's amazing. So welcome to the show again, Ramona.
Thank you so much, Ike. I'm very glad to be here and very glad to be here with you, Denise, also.
Lovely. So like both of you, I really really feel proud to connect with you, having discussion about these topics, which is very important. And I'm also in the mission to create this awareness about our mental health, healthier life, and healthier mind. So we'll start with both of you, Dennis and Ramona. Like if you can share like a defining moment in your journey that led you to your current path of helping others. So we'll start with Ramona.
Yeah, well, about 10 years ago, my life partner, my beloved life partner of 24 years, she had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 8 months before, and so we were very happy to have gotten that 8 months. That was very unusual. But she died in my arms, and I did not have a spiritual paradigm, didn't have the kind of support that I was going to need to get through that. I was actually not planning on getting through that. I was planning on wrapping up a few things and then following her. And so fate intervened, the phone rang, and that changed everything for me. It brought me to a whole new life, a whole new perspective, a whole new yes, spirituality, but also a whole new healthy mindset, and led me to where I am today, where because the help that I sought at that time actually wasn't available, but I look everywhere for it. And so now I provide that help for others, if whether they're going through a grief loss like that, or some other form of limits. I don't only deal with grief, but I certainly deal a lot with people who are struggling, recovering from grief. So yeah, that was where it all started for me 10 years ago. Started all over my entire life at age 55.
Understood. So, what about Dennis?
Well, my life really changed dramatically when my husband died of a blood clot in 2009. Totally unexpected. There were no goodbyes. There was no I love yous. He went off to work and basically just didn't come home again. And I went for the usual therapy and the usual advice that was given to me, and that's given to all grievers, everybody that loses somebody. Wait for time, go through the 5 stages of grief. And I wasn't healing. I wasn't getting any better. And I actually, I realized one day, about 6 months into my journey, I had a breakdown. I had an absolute breakdown. And it hit me. It hit me that grief never heals. We have to heal. We have to heal from the inside out. And that's where my journey began. And, back in 2009, 15 years ago, there wasn't the Facebook groups, there wasn't the help that was there. And I had to basically reinvent the wheel, reinvent what I was doing. I was a bookkeeper, tax agent
Okay.
at the time, and my career changed completely on a 180 with that one moment in time, when my husband passed away, and I knew that I had to heal me and not heal the grief. Everybody says heal your grief, heal your grief, heal your grief, but it's not about healing your grief. It's about healing you, the person, because you died when your loved one died as well, and it's reimagining a totally new life.
Understood. That's I totally understand about this. So Dennis, like, as I also mentioned about the flow method. So if you can quickly mention that, how did the flow grief release the method come to be?
Well, that was quite by accident, actually. Because when I started healing myself really quickly. And I thought, how did I do that? How did I heal so quickly? How did I, when I say heal myself, learn to love myself, learn who I am? Um, I reverse engineered what I had done. And
Okay.
I realized the very first step that I had to take was to feel my emotions. I had to feel them. I couldn't mask them. Because what happens when we're in grief is that we mask them. We live in the land of okay, I'm fine. But we have to feel those emotions. So that's the very first letter in flow, is feel. Because once we feel those emotions, we can now let go. We're not letting go of the love, of the life, of anything that we shared together,
Mm.
but we're letting go of those deep sorrow, painful emotions that grief has. And once we let go of them, we can then overcome. We can start overcoming. Now, what is overcoming? That's learning to love yourself, learning to rediscover who you are, learning, what your programming is, what your limiting beliefs are, what's holding you back, basically. And
Exactly.
only then, once you've done that, once you've felt, you've let go and you've started overcoming, now you can become whole. And what is becoming whole? It's reimagining your new life. Where do I want to be? Who am I? I now know who I am, but what do I want for me? So that's the flow method that I teach, and that my program's all about, is helping people go down and deep dive into themselves and who they are now without their loved one.
Understood. Understood. So, Also, I'll go to Ramona. What inspired you to become a vibrational mentor and the spiritual success coach?
Well, what I started learning that it was exactly a week after my partner had passed away, and I was just a big mess. And when the phone rang, it was a friend of hers, and she started saying, "Hey, you have to stop thinking like that." And I don't even know what I was saying. I don't remember, but it wasn't good. Whatever it was, I was deep, deep in grief. And so she started teaching. I said, I don't know how to control my thoughts or how to control my feelings. I don't know how to handle this. And she said, well, and she just started teaching me. She shared Abraham Hicks was became a teacher eventually, but Lordell was that very first teacher. And what she taught me was that where we focus is where we go. Just like a race car driver learns, when you go into a skid, you need to steer, you need to look at where you want to go, not where the car is going. And when you do that, the car almost like magic, recovers. You come out of go exactly where you want to go. It's the same concept in my life, and this was new information for me. So I just jumped in. I just started studying 8, 10 hours a day. She sent me some CDs that she had. I got the book out of the library and eventually, bought books online, got all of their DVDs, and I started learning all this information. And it saved my life. I credit them and Lordella, those people that gave me that early support with saving my life. And so I feel it's
Understood.
really important for me to give back. And because the online and just reading books and watching videos is one thing, but actually be able to speak to someone on a regular basis is a whole different level of support. And that's what I wanted at the time. I couldn't find it. But because I did the same thing that Denise was talking about, I went to the hospice community, had a grief counselor for me to talk to, and all they wanted to do was talk about grief and how awful it felt, and all the, I just knew from what I was learning as well instinctively that
Yeah.
it's
So,
not
so
what you want to focus.
that's really, really true, Ramona. I totally agree with you. So, Ramona, also one more thing, I believe there is some uh, disconnect with the mic also. Maybe if you can speak without the mic as well, so it's totally fine. And also quickly I'll introduce to one of our guests as well. So Jesse is with us. So I'll quickly introduce you to all of you, dear listeners. Jesse, for the past 18 years, she has coached thousands to reach the peak performance and the fulfillment. So ranked among the top coaches worldwide, she is driven by the love for humanity and a desire to end suffering. That's really awesome. So her teachings transform pain into purpose and the passion. So unlocking the limitless potential. So welcome to the show, Jesse.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And I apologize in advance for only being able to stay for a few minutes, but I'm so excited to be here and meet you all and be able to contribute in any way that I possibly can.
Lovely, lovely. It's really so. We have with us Dennis and Ramona as well, and so we were discussing about a great topic, which is reimagining life after the loss and healing authenticity, and as well as mental health awareness. Really, really, Dennis and Ramona shared their life and how they started with their the flow method and how they started with their success. Uh, so Jesse, I also wanted to ask you. I mean, any if you can share any defining, I mean, moment in your journey that led you to the current path of helping others.
Absolutely. I mean, did you say you were discussing grief? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So any moment, any defining moment in your journey.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was a moment of apathy, honestly. It was a moment of getting to a place and that what I was living from my perspective, there was no way out except death. and my children were what really kept me alive. And so coming from that place of really praying somebody would blow the red light so I can be complete, it was just a state of a physical body walking. And honestly, what literally pivoted me, which is I love that this is part of my story, because I want to empower people to understand how much they individually matter and how much power we each hold in one act of kindness, which is what saved my life. These people behaved in a way that I didn't understand. I didn't know to call it kindness at the time. I was told by my father that people subconsciously want to get into your pants, so don't trust anybody. And from my ex, that people want to subconsciously break up a good marriage, just so don't talk to anybody about our marriage. And so I was living in my own hell. These people just behaved kindly. And from that act, I didn't know, I call it a short circuit moment. It short circuited my brain to think, I don't know what this is. Like, these people are being nice to me for no reason. I don't understand. They don't want anything from me. And that act of kindness, all I knew is that whatever flicker of light was still left in me, it sparked it. It sparked it enough to have the courage to leave my current situation where I was in suffering. And I thought, I don't know what this is, but if this feeling's available, then life is worth living. And I knew that when I went home, I felt dead. And I thought, okay, I got to get out. It's survival at this point. And from that aspect, I had the courage to leave my marriage at the time. And it turned my world upside down in 15,000 ways. But what it also did is it created an insatiable hunger to understand human beings. And I never would read. I started picking up books. I started going to workshops, seminars, whatever it was, my own therapy, so that I can understand. I wanted to know why my father did what he did, why my mom ignored it, why my husband did what he did, and why I allowed it. And it just created this hunger. And from then, there's a long history of study and commitment. But for me, also tragedy has also catapulted me into wanting to serve. You know, I lost two brothers 30 years apart to murder, both to murder, totally different situations. But when my older brother was killed, I was 28 years old. He was 29. And I turned my back on everything. Like I turned my back on my faith. I was just like, God, you know, I don't even know if you exist. What if there's nothing? And you know what? If you do exist, I hate you for taking my brother. And that's how I felt. And it was in a moment that he presented himself to me and showed me that everything was as it's supposed to be, that it brought me calm. And from that has been my quest and journey to get me where I am today, to the point where my little brother was killed last year. And it had me dig my heels deeper in my conviction and deeper in my love and deeper in my trust in God, source, universe, whatever you believe, that, you know, there is divinity in all, even in our pain. But if we don't look for the gift, then we'll only remember the pain.
Understood. So thank you for sharing this, Jessie. Like, it's really been helpful for people. So dear listeners, I would love to mention that Healthy Waves is for this thing only. We are trying to create this awareness among globally that what our experts have faced, they are sharing uh, that those experience, those learnings, so that you do not face this kind of situation. So this is very, very important. And so we'll quickly come to all of you. Like, will what according to you, like, are the common misconceptions do people have about their field of expertise, and uh, how do you address them? I mean, how do you tackle them, or how do you address them? So I'll go to Dennis, and then I'll follow Jessie and Ramona.
Hi, thank you, and hi, Jessie.
Hi, Dee.
Misconceptions about grief. Oh, wow. Where do I start? There's so many myths about how we should be, how we heal. You know, the biggest one that I come across, and I really empowers me, is the wait for time. Everybody wants to wait for time. Just wait for time. Time will heal. You'll be okay. And then, of course, we've got the 5 stages of grief as well. That's being taught, and that everybody believes it's linear. And grief is not linear. grief goes all over the place. It's one of those, it's love. Grief is love. So, to wait for time, how do you wait for time for love to heal? Because love doesn't ever heal. We have to heal. We have to heal ourselves. But in saying that, we're not broken. You're not broken. It's not that you feel broken, but you're not broken. It's being able to love yourself enough to love the person that's passed away, whoever it is, and to go deep within yourself to rediscover who you are without that person. Because grief doesn't define your life. And when we try and wait for time, I don't know how many times, so many of my clients, my clients say to me, Denise, why is the second year worse than the first year? Why was it worse? And my answer to that is because you did nothing in the first year. So it compounds on each other. So if you're going to do nothing and just wait for time, and then everybody says to you, do nothing in the first year. Don't make any major decisions in the first year. You're not ready. Don't do anything. So we then live as the victim in the first year. I'm the victim of my grief. Poor me. Look what happened to me. And then, of course, comes second year rolls along and it's like, oh, my goodness, that's worse than the first year. What happened? Why is it worse? It's supposed to be getting better. Look, I've waited 2 years already. So that's the biggest misconception about grief and healing, is that we have to take action. And the quicker that you take action, the quicker that you heal.
So, Jesse, to you.
Sure. I think one of the myths that I run into is that to heal is some sort of dishonoring of the person that passed. That it's like there's some sense of nobility, like I can't smile again. I remember when my older brother was killed, I remember I went to the grocery store for the first time after the shock of it all. And the grocery store lady was super kind to me and she was smiling and joyful. And I was just like, in my mind, I was like, don't you know what happened? That's what I wanted to say to her. You know what I mean? And it's almost like I have to stay in suffering in order to show how much I cared about my loved one. And knowing what I know now, I know that is not what he would have wanted for me. You know what I mean? And so there's no nobility in staying in suffering because of the belief that if I move on, or if I heal, or if I, find my smile again, that it's somehow dishonoring the person that I loved.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, Ramona, to you.
Yes. All right. Can you hear me okay without the headset?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. So I take a very different approach. Everything is so beautiful and it's so true. And what I did for myself and what I teach now is that we are all, and this is the first time we're saying it quite like this, but I believe that we all, without a connection to unconditional love, we are all walking around in some version of a constant state of grief, because grief is a perception of lack. And so that was certainly how I felt when my partner passed away. I felt like my only source of unconditional love had just left the planet forever. That was such a bereft feeling. And I started learning very quickly what saved my life was that we have unconditional love available to us at all times, no matter what happens, and that a loved one are not actually gone. And when I started, this did not make my grief go away right away, because I had 55 years of believing one way, and I started learning a different way. So it took, some training and practice and some time, but I no longer see someone as a loss. All I teach, to not perceive lack in anything, whether it's death of a loved one or losing money or whatever it is. So a very different approach, but I think we all kind of come back to the same place, which is that we're whole and we can be happy. We're entitled to be happy. We deserve to be happy. We deserve to be joyful, even if someone that we love has just passed away. But for me, I got there from releasing the perception of lack. So, yeah.
Understood. Definitely. So, so also one more thing is like, what according to you, all of you, like, the role authenticity play in your approach of helping others? So, like, anyone.
What was the
I-
question again? One more time.
So,
Authenticity.
what the authenticity play in your approach of helping others?
Go ahead, Denise.
Thanks, Jessie. Well, authenticity is everything, not just in grief. Authenticity is the way we live, the way we are. With that comes vulnerability. We have to be, when we're living with an authentic life, true to who we are, true to our inner being, it takes courage, and it takes being vulnerable, showing who you are, being there for your clients. I lost my husband. I don't hide the fact. I don't hide the fact with my clients when they're really struggling that I went and hid in closets. I screamed. I sat between the toilet and the wall. I don't hide that fact because I'm not perfect. I also don't hide the fact, and this is where authenticity comes in and being vulnerable, is that even 15 years later, I have my bad days. I have my days when I go down. And life is not fair, and it sucks, and everything else. But then the next day or the next hour or whatever, I know how to pull myself out of it authentically. And that's part of my flow method, is feeling, giving yourself permission to feel those emotions, and not just gloss over them and say, oh, I'll be okay. No, I don't want to feel that. Because human nature is we don't want to feel. It's too damn painful to feel. So we don't feel. And that's all part of being authentic to yourself, and having self-integrity as well, which is huge.
So, Jesse,
I'll say one thing before I jump off. That was beautiful, Denise. What I would say about authenticity, I think that we're constantly seeking what that is. I think that we have constantly put on these masks through our journey, right? We've been hurt before, we've been vulnerable, we've been open, and then we start to build this heart armor around our hearts, and we're like, what is my authentic truth? I know specifically for me, I don't think I even asked myself, who am I, until I was 38 and coming out of my very abusive marriage. And from that, I'm like, I don't even know who I am. Like, who is my authentic self? I live to serve everyone. I live to make sure the peace was kept in the home. I literally was like a chameleon. And so authenticity, I was like, what does that look like? And so I think that, to Denise's point, the vulnerability of being able to look inside and fall in love with the aspects of who we are is the human journey. You know, it's the part of taking down all the armor that we've built around our hearts so that we can show up in the magnificence of what we are, without the filters or the masks that we put on, you know, to try to make sure that we feel we're loved or accepted. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate meeting you all. Take care.
Thanks, Jess.
Bye-bye. So Ramona, like, what's your take? I mean, what do you want to mention about the authenticity?
Yeah, so authenticity, I agree completely with Denise. Authenticity is everything. I make a subtle distinction, or maybe not so subtle distinction, between authenticity and honesty. And so I think that that authenticity is, you know, I'm the most honest person in the whole world. I'm the most, you know, literal. I never tell a lie, all this, but yet I might not be authentic to myself. And so for me, authenticity comes from unconditional love. Like, authenticity shows up in my clients. Like, I know that I make videos for my business, you know, but I can't stand the way I look, or I can't stand the way I sound. You know, like, they're kind of not being comfortable with self, or, you know, I'm in a sales position, and I talk to people, I can tell there's like a film between us. I can't be completely open to them. Like these are like very literal ways that authenticity shows up, and it all comes back again, in my practice to unconditional love. And once you have actually felt, which we meet twice a week because I feel like it's really important. You can't really learn anything, can't get momentum going just once a week, for example. So we meet twice a week, and every client gets bathed with unconditional love every time. When you build the momentum, you don't have to go find it, you don't have to create it, you don't have to figure out where it's at, or you don't have to build a business plan for it, or create a strategy, or do have a start goal, or you just open to it. And when that comes flowing through, all of a sudden you can be comfortable with yourself. You can be okay with your feelings. You can be okay with your thoughts. You can be okay with your desires. I think that's the thing that scares us the most about authenticity. Not only whatever we're dealing with, past grief or anything, any kind of trauma, tragedy that we haven't let go of yet, then our desires, like, can we trust our desires? Are we okay people if we have desires? And so desire is the big part of authenticity, in my viewpoint of it. But it is also just the way, I love the way Jesse described it. I love the way Denise describes it. It's just it's so important to find our own, maybe it's just each of us finds our own version of authenticity, but find it. It's so important. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, authenticity, we don't realize that authenticity is everything in life. And it takes inner growth. It takes getting to know who we are. I didn't really know who I was until my husband passed away. Because I got married young. I met him when I was 16, got married at 18, 19, had our kids young. Life went on, ups, downs, everything and around. And it was only when he passed away and I had my meltdown and I broke down. And I sat in the middle of my lounge room floor in tears, thinking, you're 51, Denise, and you don't even know who you are. And that's scary. That's really scary. But out of that was born the inner journey of, okay, who am I? So that's the first part of authenticity. The very first step is, who am I now? And what do I want? So it takes courage, and it takes commitment to yourself. That's the key.
Beautifully said.
Yeah, exactly. I was also about to say this. Yes, exactly. Very, very true. So, also, like, I'll request, like, quickly, if you can share one success story where you saw a profound transformation in someone uh, you work with. Yeah.
Okay, so okay, who do I choose? There's one particular lady. When she reached out to me, I didn't know if I could help her. She had trauma on trauma on trauma on trauma. She had already seen, I think, 4 or 5 grief coaches. She had been for therapy. She had had a psychologist. She had had a psychiatrist. She had read books. She had done everything. And when she approached me and said, can you help me? I said, well, of course I can help you, until I heard her story. And then I started having self-doubts. It was like, oh my God, can I do this? Her story was that her and her husband had a business together. They were travel agents. And he was always traveling all over the place. So she never thought anything of it. Anyway, after he passed away, he went away on a trip, didn't come back, and discovered while he was away that he had committed suicide and that he had another whole family with children in the other country. So not only was she dealing with the grief, she was dealing with the betrayal, with the deceit, with all those emotions on top of the grief. Yeah. And we worked together, and within the very first week, so I think she was about 5 years into her grief journey when we started working together. So she'd already tried so much. And then the very first week of us working together, she went to the storage shed and she started unpacking all the business documents, all his stuff. You know, she said to me, I haven't done this. I couldn't do this for 5 years. Fast forward now to today, she works online. She has started her own business online, helping coaches and doing all the techie stuff for coaches because that's her jam. She loves it, which is something she never saw. She couldn't even think of doing because her mind was all over the place. So to go from that stage to where she is now, where she's loving her life, she's helping with summits, she helps with all the techie stuff. It's just amazing to see her growth and how the flow method has really and truly, and she often says if it wasn't for the flow method and going through and really digging deep, she wouldn't be where she is today.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you were saying.
What's that?
You were saying something.
Oh no, I just was responding to Denise's comment that I just beautiful. That's all. Sorry.
Okay. No issue. Yeah. So that's very true, and thanks for sharing this. As I always mention, because this is very important to create this awareness, and also before we wrap, like, what advice would you give to someone who is struggling to find their path and purpose in life?
Oh, I would definitely say right now. Start doing whatever it takes to feel good. That is the most important thing, because as long as you continue to focus on things that don't feel good, whether it's loss, whether it's trauma, whether it's tragedy, illness, injury, whatever it is, start controlling your focus and start doing whatever it takes to feel good. So this is what I teach: one rule, one skill, one habit. So the one rule is do whatever it takes to feel good. The one skill, which is a quite skill, this is pretty much what I teach all day long, is learn to discern what actually feels good. So when you trust that your instincts, your guidance are good through unconditional love, and you start following that, and then you really learn how to discern how to follow that and how to do that better and better. And then the one habit is to allow things to unfold naturally. Any of your listeners right now who can start implementing one rule, do whatever it takes to feel good, one skill, learn to discern what actually feels good, and one habit, allow things to unfold naturally. They can start those things right now, right here, today, immediately, and they will start to feel good very quickly. And the things will just unfold from there. That's what I would say.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. So the one thing I always say is, number one, breathe. That's the first thing, is breathe.
Yeah.
Just breathe. Just breathe. Because when we go through grief, which is trauma, and unfortunately people don't see it as trauma. They don't recognize it as trauma, regardless of how you lost your person. We forget to breathe. So the first thing is to breathe, and then to start just looking at your life and going, well, where do I want to be? Who am I? The biggest question is, who am I? And that unfolds into so many, I don't know. I didn't know who I was. When I start working with my clients, that's the first thing I say to them is, who are you? And they say, I'm a mother. No, that's your role. Who are you? Who are you? And this is the thing. Journal. Don't journal the negative feelings that you're feeling. Journal how you want to feel. We are taught, so many people say, oh, I'll just journal. But what they're doing is they're journaling how they're feeling, how hurt they are. They're journaling their sorrow. So stop, draw a line in the sand, and journal your joys. Gratitude.
Absolutely.
Be grateful. Have a gratitude. I tell all my clients, have a gratitude journal. And I know some days it's, especially when you're in the pit of grief, to actually be grateful for anything is hard. It's what am I grateful for? Why, why am I here? It's not fair. You feel as though you're walking outside of your body, if the world is going around and you're not. But if you can just find that one little thing that you're grateful for, was it the fact that you woke up this morning? Was it the fact that you've got a bed? It doesn't have to be earth-shattering gratitude, because gratitude comes from love and grief comes from fear. So we want to build that habit of gratitude. Little tiny baby steps along the way, and then reach out for the right help. The right help. Somebody like Ramona or myself that's there to heal you, not your grief. That's the key.
Absolutely.
That's the key. Not, we go for therapy. I went for therapy. It didn't work. I was talking about my sadness. That's all I did. I have clients that have been on this merry-go-round for 15, 20 years and they're still crying. And they've been in therapy.
You spoke about starting small, just grab anything. Months. The only thing I could appreciate, I did the rampage of appreciation every morning. And with a phone on the phone, we would just do a rampage of appreciation. The only thing I could think of many of the days was my pillow. I love my pillow. My nice and soft. I feel seeking that with my pillow. Like I started there, and once you get some momentum going, you can branch off into other things. Many times those first couple of months, all I think of was my pillow. So, yeah.
And love is the only emotion. Remember the person that you lost, you loved. But too often what we do is we focus on that one moment in time when they left us, when they died. And that becomes our narrative, that becomes our story. That's just part of it. That's what brought you to where you are today. And it's living their legacy. What would they want to see you do right now? And I know for Ramona and I, we both help people. If, that might not be what you want to do, just help yourself. Start with you. Start with you, because we both started with ourselves. We started with us.
Recognize that kindred.
Yeah. Great. So, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And dear listeners, like, I believe you all have enjoyed like I do, because we got to learn a lot of things from the experiences, and this is where healthy waves comes. So we hope that our discussions today with Dennis, Ramona, and Jesse have provided you with the valuable insights and inspirations. So always remember that whether you are navigating the grief, seeking success, or maybe transforming pain into the purpose, there's always a path forward with the right guidance and the support. So, if you have enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Do not forget to share with your friends and family who might benefit from these conversations and these experiences, I would say. So, for more information about our guest and their incredible work, check out the show notes and follow us on social media, so that you can also reach out to them as well. And join us next time as we continue to explore the new topics with more amazing experts like we have today. So until then, keep riding those healthy lives and healthy waves of life, and take good care of yourself. So thank you for being a part of this community. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.